Who says bed bugs are bad for business? Well, that depends on the business. This guy bought Scooby the dog here for $10,000. He made that back in 3 months. Okay, so the bed bug detection service is doing really, really well. Okay, our follow-up on these tenant complaints. We give, typically on problems like bed bugs, we give the landlord and the tenant a couple, 3 weeks to get together and respond to the problem. We got to talk about this. Where's the problem? How far has it gone? Let me get a hold of a pest control guy, come in and take a look. Let me verify that it is bed bug problem, what have you. And if things have been done right, we're done with the case. Okay, if things are moving and the tenant is happy, things are moving in the right direction, we're happy. But if not, if nothing has been done and we feel we need to inspect, we'll get out there and we'll inspect the unit after 3 weeks. We'll look at the sample and stuff like that, but we look at other things. This is why landlords don't want us poking around in their units, because we don't just look at the bed bug problem. We look at, is it plumbing problems, heating problems, electrical problems? Is there light switches on the walls, dog crap in the yard? You know, all this kind of stuff we look for. So typically it's nice to get it done without us coming in there. But we will come in and we'll notify the tenant. We'll cite the tenant if there's a problem. We'll cite the landlord if there's a problem. And we'll continue to work towards compliance. We know this, it takes a long time to deal with this problem. It takes months, can take months, so we'll crank it out with you, but we'll stick with it until we get some compliance. If not, we have to go to the magistrate and see what the problem is. Okay? So hotels, these are regulated industries by the health department as well. If we get complaints by people who are staying in a hotel, we will call the contact the manager right away. We'll offer assistance, perform an inspection, and if we find bed bugs problem, we'll issue orders and to follow up with them, because you don't want your clients being bitten by this. Okay, it can be really, really bad. With tenants, we try and stay up with them. We try and follow up with them if they haven't moved out already. A lot of times people just want to cut and run. Okay, but if we can get them to stay, if they like the apartment, they want to fight the problem, we work with them to try and improve sanitation, use the mattress encasements. Those people are here today. Vacuum regularly, declutter the unit, seal up everything, bag up all your stuff, get rid of some furniture if it's heavily infested. You know, all these kind of things that people can do. And as far as hotels and motels go, your opportunity is to find the bugs before guests find the bugs. Okay? And we suggest that you have an on-site technician, somebody who knows what bed bugs look like, do some in-house training, maybe have a bed bug bounty for the people who clean the rooms, you know, $5, $10, you know, that seems to work. Get rid of some furniture and make some routine sweeps. Okay? Try and keep on top of this thing. You don't want your guests sleeping in the bathtub. Chemical controls, will be a little talk on that later. I think they are resistant to a lot of the pesticides we have. They have metabolic resistance genes, knockdown resistance genes. Insects are very tough. They can avoid treated areas. And so far, there's no universal standard of chemical treatment. Nothing is out there that we say, yeah, got to use this product over that product. There's new products in the market coming along, insect growth regulators, metabolic poisons and stuff like that. But nothing that is like, yeah, use this stuff, okay? Their evolution of resistance has been since the 1940s, and since then, the University of Kentucky showed that they're 100-fold resistance to deltamethrin, 1,000-fold resistant to modern pyrethroids like that. And this was published in the Wall Street Journal last week, that they're showing that the insects have gotten much tougher exoskeletons now, so they resist penetration by the insecticides. They have enzymes now that are a lot more active and chop up the pesticide in their bodies and into water-soluble products that they can excrete out. Okay, and their nervous systems are more resilient to these pesticides that affect the nervous systems. So it's a very interesting, tough little bug, and you're getting tougher all the time. Natural selection is occurring. Okay. So when they found that these pesticides weren't working, the pest control guys said, well, let's use mechanical methods. Let's just kill these things mechanically. And when they're in there with a lot of steam, you know, bringing big steam heaters and trying to smoke and kill all these life stages with high heat. But it was very labor intensive and very, you know, the steam didn't work that well, and it was just a big pain in the neck. So now they're moved to a lot of dry heat, bring in a lot of heaters in the house. They rewire for 220 and bring in duct work. I think there's some guys here that are going to talk about that later. So that's working out really well. And it takes a lot of equipment, but this seems to be working pretty well. Mechanical controls like freezing, CO2 fogs and stuff like that. There are a lot of places using this stuff. I don't know how it works, but they are persistent. Bed bugs are resistant and persistent, and no matter how many heat treatments and detection dogs you bring in and the pesticides you use, it doesn't prevent a reinfestation from a neighboring apartment. Okay? The do-it-yourself things don't work, and public education really is the only way we're going to really do a good job on this, is to make people vigilant about that, and we've got to work together with you all to accomplish that. How do you know if the bed bugs are there or if they're gone? There are these zone monitors out there. They're kind of expensive, but it's a human in a can type deal where they have carbon dioxide, lactic acid, ammonia, and things like that that mimic our hormones and stuff and attract insects into a thing where you can see them. There are these do-it-yourself things. This was in the Times Magazine last winter. How to build your own bed bug detection device, and what it is a little jug here. You put dry ice in it, and you take a cat feeding dish, and turn it upside down, and then the bed bugs will crawl in here trying to get to the dry ice, and they fall into this little moat. Clever little $20 detection device. But these zone monitors have shown to be really cheap way to know what's going on. They're a simple two-sided, like a moat situation here. You put them around the base of the furniture, and they've been shown to be much better than visually inspecting for bed bugs. Putting these around the furniture shows up if the bed bugs are there or if they're not. So they're very cheap technology, can help you determine the status of an infestation. Bed bug control is also changing human behaviors. Okay, number one is stopping dumpster diving. This is a big problem where they get into people are taking recycling furniture out of, especially at college campuses and things like that. And so it's been such a problem in Boston that they have these stickers that they put around on the dumpster saying, do not remove stuff from this dumpster. It probably contains bed bugs, okay? I mean, when I was a kid, you know, we did this, but I mean, you gotta try and look at this stuff and say, oh, I refuse. I'm not gonna pick that one up, you know. It's free. Our experience in Pittsburgh, okay, just a quick review. Last year we had the G20 summit in Pittsburgh. We got lots of cops, lots of bystanders, very few rioters, okay? But for the next several weeks, I got a lot of calls from people who were staying at the big hotels downtown complaining of bed bugs. It was horrible. These global hopping people came around with their global hopping bugs. And it's just amazing. So other problems that we've seen. Landlords. A lot of times, very early on, people wouldn't complain about bed bugs, and landlord would say, it's your fault. It's your fault. You know, you brought them in here. You must have brought them in here. So you do it yourself. Well, these self-help things can't really cut it. I mean, they're based on very wistful things about the biology of bed bugs. They put dust around and think the bugs are going to crawl through it and die and stuff. And they get these foggers. You can find these foggers. People kill themselves with these foggers. They not only will make themselves ill. Last year, this woman killed one of her 2-year-old son and put her 6-month-old in a hospital spraying with foggers. And sometimes they blow up, okay? I mean, they can level a house. So in 2008, New York took these things off the market. You can only buy these things in restricted use pesticides now. Another case, a landlord, all right, I'm going to treat the unit, but I'm only going to treat the complaining unit. Okay, you bitched about it, I'm going to come in and do it. Well, in Rutgers University, they looked at a couple hundred apartments in a big apartment building, and they found that half of the units got infested within 3 years of the very first confirmed introduction of the pests into the building. There was no way to stop this thing spread. within a few years' time. And half of the units next to the infested units got infested very quickly. And half of the people who were infested didn't even know they were infested. They didn't have any idea that they had bed bugs in their place. They still were looking for them. So these bugs, they walk underneath the door, down the hallway. People carry, the couch out to the dumpster, and the bed bugs fall off, and they walk underneath the door of the next apartment. People visit, they bring the bed bugs in, college students come and go, new residents move in, people travel. There's no stopping them. Another big problem we've seen locally is that apartments that have elderly people in them, disabled people in them, are just really can be a nightmare to try and control bed bugs in those places. A lot of times the people are restricted to a wheelchair. They can't see the bugs, they can't feel the bugs, and they can't take care of their sanitation, like do all the stuff, change the linen every couple of days. And the bed bug populations can be enormous in there, and they're impossible to control. And the caseworkers that I talk to, who are out there, these big social service agencies that are out there trying to help these people, what can they do? They have limited funds to begin with, and then they got to start buying bed bug mattress covers and box spring covers. They've got to try and get the guy out of the apartment for a day so that, what are we going to do with this guy for a couple of days while the apartment is treated and stuff? It's going to really, really be complicated. In the workspace, people are calling me about bed bugs in the workplace. A guy called me a couple of weeks ago, said, I brought my laptop bag into work. I set it down and a bed bug fell out of it somehow. I told my boss, I didn't know about it. My landlord, they were in my building, and my landlord never told me about it. Okay? So now I, by accident, brought this thing into the building. Within a day, his human resource people were on the phone saying, what should we do with this guy? What should we do with this guy? What do you mean, what should you do with this guy? Well, should we lay him off, give him a leave of absence, terminate him? I said, what? He brought a bed bug in, It's not the end of the world, but they are all asking, what's legally required? Should we abandon the building? Call in the National Guard? It's like crazy. How do we avoid defamation? And the next guy's going to talk about this, but it's really amazing how big it's gotten and crazy people have gotten. Another case where the landlord provides the first treatment free, okay, but then the next time you complain, you got to pay $500. Okay, so the next time you got him, you call the landlord, okay, the guy comes in, treats for $500. But what if your neighbor don't do nothing? Right? In another month or two, they're back. You got to shell out another $500. The neighbor isn't going to pay $500. Maybe they're from someplace in the world where bed bugs are common, and they become desensitized to the bed bugs. Okay, it doesn't bother them so much. They don't even react to the bites anymore, but they constantly spread to the neighboring units. So that kind of stuff doesn't work. Or the landlord will steam treat the tenant belongings and then move the tenant to another building. Steam treatment, with one of those little air, things that you take wallpaper off the wall, it isn't going to do it, and you're just going to spread it someplace else. Or the landlord, this is a good one, the landlord rents a previously infested unit to a new tenant without telling them that there was bed bugs in this place. And you have people coming in from other places and bringing all their belongings and stuff, and all of a sudden within a month's time, they've got to launder all their stuff in hot soapy water, and there's no way to treat a new tenant, And if they find out that the landlord knew that that apartment was infested with the last guy who lived there, and that he allowed them to walk into that apartment where it hadn't been adequately treated or verified as bed bug controlled, you're looking at, Judge Judy, You're going to go see Judge Judy for all the damage that was done to their stuff. So around the world, Ontario, $5 million they're putting into bed bug control. This one, I hope we get something like this in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, because health departments can apply for some funding to support local bed bug programs like this one. Thankfully, WIT is funding most of this here, and so we just don't have the money to do this kind of stuff. Public awareness, education, and assist the vulnerable. Next door in Ohio, the state is approving Medicare funds from their home care funding to cover the preparation and even the control for bed bugs, because part of their program allows people that are elderly and disabled who get into trouble, they are the least likely to be able to afford bed bug control, and so they're putting some money into that to try and help people out. In New Jersey, there was a law I don't know where it is next. Yes, sir.
What's this Bagon that you had?
Bagon or Propoxur?
Yeah.
This was an organophosphate pesticide. Oh no, it's a carbamate insecticide that was pretty active in the 70s and 80s. We used it for mosquito control and a lot of different pests, and it had some residual. And so they're trying to bring it back. They're pressing EPA to allow pest control people to use it because it worked, and it was labeled for bed bugs. That's all. New Jersey, this is a good one. They want the landlord to survey and treat all the units, and if the landlord doesn't do it, they want the local health department to hire a commercial pest control company to come in and treat it, and then try and get the money out of the landlord, lien his property or something like. I don't know. That one's in the House, but the Senate has reviewed it. Fine. I don't know where it's going to go. Maybe Gene will talk about that. And then in New York, this is the one that I do know that a statewide law was passed last year that landlords must notify tenants of the history of that building for at least a year, and that perhaps the landlords can buy insurance for bed bug protection, or tenants could as well, and they want them to provide truth in renting booklets, educational booklets and things. So that has passed in New York. Here, we're trying to provide more and better education. Utilize early detection methods and surveys, get those dogs out there, try a bug monitor. I don't know how those work. Try and intervene with a combination of proven methods and materials and promoting vigilance. And you all have a copy of a Preventing and Getting Rid of Bed Bugs Safely and Effectively. This is a New York publication. We found it on the internet, and we're able to duplicate it for you this morning in color. And it's a really nice little pamphlet that we think you should get copies of to hand out to your tenants. Any new tenants that come in and to the old tenants, you know. You want to promote awareness of the problem, prevention of the problem. Don't let people have to know how not to bring them back from their trip to Cancun or something. Early detection and proper management. Okay, so we hope that you'll find this pamphlet useful for a good start. Anyway, it's the best one we could find so far. And for landlords, you know that the health department is here. We're not always the bad guys. We want to work with you on this problem, and so provide this information out there. Encourage the people to report problems as soon as they occur. Make sure it's in the lease, you know, so that you can avoid some liability down the road. Hey, you're supposed to report these things. Notify and inspect all the units adjacent to a focus unit, an infested unit. Hire a commercial pest control company with experience. There's a lot of guys out there. It's not a one-man job. Okay? This is not a one-man job. Somebody can walk in and say, oh, I'm going to get rid of these with a spray. That isn't going to happen. Not yet, anyway. Assist the tenants, especially elderly and disabled. These are tough problems. The social networks will appreciate the help with that and trying to get these problems resolved. When you're using pesticide, let everybody know about it. Re-inspect to make sure that the tenant is in compliance. And if the tenant isn't doing everything he's supposed to do, you know, they're supposed to change the sheets every few days and launder all their stuff. Call us, the health department. We do cite tenants for sanitation violations. Okay? So we can work with you on this. And upon vacancy, make sure that this building, this unit is treated adequately and proven vacant before you go lending it out to a new tenant. Okay? Seems like it makes sense to me. We hope to work with you on this. We're very thankful for WIT to provide a platform for us, for the health department to tell our side of the story, you know, and what has been coming down for us. And do you have any immediate questions on the bionomics? Anybody?
Just a fast question. I manage an apartment complex. We use ozone to treat for odors. Is that proven effective against bed bugs? Does it do anything at all?
I don't know, sir. I'm totally ignorant of ozone. I know it's deadly to a lot of microbes, but it's like a contact time. It has to have contact to kill bugs in like a sauna or a hot tub or something. So I know it's deadly, but I don't. Anybody know anyone working with ozone on the bed bugs? Yes, sir.
I can address it later, or I mean, we work in the restoration industry and do a lot of ozone work for odors. There's not been found a way to kill bed bugs with ozone at this point in time.
Yeah.
So the short answer is not at this point in time. There's no research that says.
Yeah. Anybody else have a comment or a question? Okay, well, thank you very much.
While our next speaker is getting ready, just wanted to let you all know that you might see around the room there's a few different displays. One specifically that I'll mention right now is we have a mattress, a bed set up in the back, along with a nightstand and lamp, a typical setup you might find in a hotel or an apartment. And we have our encasements that we provide. We have a wide variety of encasements, box spring covers, pillow covers. You also see where monitors can be placed. So it's kind of like a demonstration for you to get an idea about what Bill had been talking about.